Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic. Dear non-Germans, what do you think of Germany? Kids are kinda there. True. Wait, what's the kinda brand called there? Just fucky children. They were harsh on my country and Brazil in the World Cup. Funny, I was living in Colombia at the time. Many Colombians felt that Brazil had kind of cheated in their win over Colombia and took great delight in Germany beating Brazil. Irish fans hate France to this day for the hand of God. That was some epic bullshit. Like Ireland can't root for England, can't root for France, so they like cheering on Spain, Italy and Germany. 7-1 never forget. Bra 71 liters. Your MF's got a no speed limit highway, it's both intriguing and scary. Good on you, Germany. You know it's scary when a Porsche drives with 300 km/h next to roadwork. And have people honking behind him to fuck off of the left lane. If I pay for the whole speedometer, I'm gonna use the whole speedometer. My car tells me I can't go above 112 miles per hour. I don't like being told no by a machine. As a Swede, I look at Germany kind of like our bigger cousin who has a dark past but who has now radically bettered themselves to the point that we now look up to them as close friend and even protector. Swedish and German culture also feels very similar. We have the same strict, rule-abiding and moralistic outlook, rooted in a shared Lutheran inheritance. As well as both being somewhat cold and standoffish and valuing logic and efficiency over feelings and emotions. As a German, I look at Sweden as a neighbor that is pretty great. In my eyes you are 1 part IKEA, 10 parts European unity and the 89 parts forest. You are great, Sweden. When I visited Berlin, I was surprised they use the honor system for transit. You can walk into the U-Bahn without having to go through a barrier. There are controls in the tram. Don't forget that. Like every half a year only, though. Some lovely baked goods. Hell yeah. My wife raved about German bread and pastries. She thought they were better than French and Italian baking. My wife worked in Germany for 3 years at an English-speaking daycare near Weimar. Her stories have reshaped everything I think about Germany and especially the language. Popular media makes German sound angry and harsh. When someone you love speaks German it sounds warm and comforting. My perspective is that Germany really has its shit together. We still have problems. As just the topics of the last week, lobbyism, missing respect for journalists, Nazis, conspiracy idiots and the prices are too high to properly live, for example in Berlin. Her experience was pretty exclusively small town. Right now, though, compared to the USA, most countries seem to have their shit together. As a hobby creative writer I appreciate your experience with the German language. It is really rare to hear something like that and it boosts my confidence that I can actually write something in my language that will convey these feelings. I always felt that German has a great capacity for emotions, but sometimes it still feels too technical. I also for the first time in my life write in English and I enjoy it so much. It's a totally different experience and my style varies noticeably, not just because it is from another character's perspective. I hope to keep going with this project and further develop my English skills. Edit. Wow, thanks for all the upvotes and great replies. I really did not expect to meet so many German lovers. I sincerely enjoyed chatting with you, but I'm turning in now. All the best to you. One of the first labs I worked in I had a German boss. I'll never forget the way he would skip over wide swaths of detail saying and blah, blah. That's right, only 2 blahs. So I asked a co-worker why drive. Bossma would only say 2 blahs and he replied, because it's more efficient. So ever since then I've thought of Germans as very efficient. Honestly, that's both the most and least German thing ever. There are so many safety rules in some professions here. I remember one where one guy had to read the instructions on how to disassemble something while the other one did it. It was just a battle of whether you could read it out faster than they worked. Pretzels. I wake up every morning in a bed that's too small, drive my daughter to a school that's too expensive, and then I go to work to a job for which I get paid too little, but on pretzel day. Well, I like pretzel day. Live there about a year. Bavaria from US. You all know how to drive. You all know how to do bike trails. You know how to do beer and wine affordably and no open container laws. Southern Germany is beautiful. You all do fresh meat and bread 100% better than the US. No open container laws. Is there anywhere in the world other than the US that has open container laws? Australia and Canada generally, although Quebec and NSW have some lenient statutes. Chile, Mexico, Norway, Poland, Slovakia. In South Korea, while technically legal, it becomes illegal when your drinking harms others and you can be in violation by simply being loud or using foul language. In UAE it's technically illegal to be intoxicated at all, but I guess they look the other way for tourists as long as you're not being an asshole. I admire Germany for what I've heard about their education on World War II and how they don't hide all of the atrocious things they've done in the past, unlike where I live. I don't know much else, other than your language is a little harsh sounding, but beautiful. As far as I'm aware, Germany is like the only country to teach about the shit they did in World War II. America kind of mentions the internment camps, Japan refuses to apologize for their atrocities, including Nanjing. Props to Germany for that. Edit, yes, I know American schools teach about the internment camps. My main point was that we don't really focus on the home front when studying the history of World War II. The reason for that is that no one wants these things to happen again. I live in Austria, and we get taught all the terrible things that happened in the past, because it is important to know that Hitler didn't come to power by force, he was elected and loved by his folk, and the Holocaust wasn't something that happened suddenly in one day, it was a long time hating on Jews and making them the scapegoats for bad economy and the Great Depression that caused everything. It is important to know these things so it won't happen again. Because let's be real, these are things that easily can happen anytime in any other country. Hating minorities and making them scapegoats for crime etc. is something we still have in our society. It's alright, I've been there a lot. I'm from Switzerland, so a lot of field trips were to Germany when I was in school. I'm confused by not Swiss German, but otherwise it's cool. Well, Switzerland is basically the premium and free version of Germany. Yeah, overpriced and not worth it. I love Switzerland, reminds me of Austria. Swiss people will love this comparison. Definitely not the same thing. Austria is part of the European Union and some nice neighbors. They use the euro and they are pretty cheap with their products. Switzerland uses Swiss francs and wouldn't even like to join the EU, as far as I know. They are also nice neighbors who secretly can store anything in their bank vaults, and the last time I was there I bought a bag of chips for 2.96 francs. That is like $3.15. They make for great bad guys in movies. Before I visited Germany, my impression of Germany was, well designed yet industrial, most meals are sausage based, the people are stern but fun, like an uncle offering advice over drinking. My impression after visiting was relatively unchanged, but more noodles in food than I anticipated. Doner kebab is some good shit. A German-style doner place just recently opened up downstairs of my apartment and I have been in heaven. Your scale probably as well. The best fast food in the world. Well, second best. Nice currywurst. OMG. Someone who understood the real treasure of German cuisine. Currywurst. The only food that every German loves but no German has ever made at home. I worked with a guy named Jörg who was German. That was really all I knew about him. He worked for our organization, his name was Jörg, and he was German. He was an IT type quiet guy. One day, I had a bag of pistachios that I was eating at my desk. Jörg walked by and was waiting to talk to someone else. I said hello and offered him a pistachio. He said no thanks, he didn't like pistachios. Another data point. My mind immediately began searching for a reason why Jörg wouldn't like pistachios, and I connected it to the only other thing I knew about him: he was German. We all know that Germans love efficiency, and pistachios aren't the most efficient snack. There's a little bit of work involved and sometimes you can't get them to open at all. Jörg, as a German, doesn't like pistachios because they are an inefficient snack. This is now something I assume about all Germans. This is hilarious, D. I'm German and I love pistachios, but they absolutely are inefficient XD. Sorry, off topic, but I love your username. For the non-Germans, it translates to something like kitty-cat-ass. I just nearly choked on my beer from laughing. From my perspective, you've done an admirable job emerging from a very dark period. Also, you guys look pretty organized, which appeals to my type of personality. I would very much like to visit. Edit, thanks for the background info, Germans. till Germany is so organized because of significant bureaucracy. I would still prefer this to America, where there is significant bureaucracy and it's still disorganized. Feel free to visit. But our organization is not every time great. My mom just bought last week a car. It will arrive around in 2 weeks and will be street legal end of August, so. Oh, weird. One thing we have plenty of access to in America is cars. Cars for everyone. Walk into a dealership and you can leave with a car in an hour.